Okay. Hello. Hi. We have episode 2. Episode 2. Yay. Today we are we're gonna talk about how much fun it is to experience pain.
Yeah.
Not in a masochistic way, but also kind of
A little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
So one of the things that is obviously a topic of our podcast, being in the title,
Suffer
well, right?
Suffer well.
So we've talked about what this means to suffer well. It means that we are more or less making friends with our pain, that we are not just making friends with our pain, but we are using it as a learning experience, I think.
Yeah.
So when we are training, and we obviously martial arts, there's pain, right? What do you remember that reel? There was a reel going around a while ago that was like, Muay Thai is pain. Did you see that?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. And it is.
Yeah.
Training a martial art, I think, is pain, but it's not just a physical pain. For me, it's a mental pain, emotional pain. It is a pain that induces resilience and creates an air of mental toughness.
Yes. Especially with the resistance to feeling that pain.
Yeah.
And the decision to continue to do so anyway.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be willing to, right?
Yeah.
You have to be willing to face this pain and be like, you know what? Yeah. I'm going to do it anyway.
Yeah. It's been interesting too, because in the last couple of weeks since we have started A, posting on social media, and B, starting this podcast, I've had many conversations with people about pain and suffering. And I realized that there's the degree of which we probably sound diabolically crazy. Like, yeah, Suffer Well Syndicate. Like, I was at a conference yesterday, and there was a lady that she's like, tell me something new about your life. And I was like, I just started a podcast. It's called the Suffer Well Syndicate. And she was like, what? Like, people hear the word suffer and it makes us uncomfortable.
It is an immediate resistance.
Yes.
Because who wants to suffer?
Yeah.
The entirety of my religion is rule number 1, basically, is that life is suffering.
Yeah.
We don't put it that way, like as I teach as a meditation teacher to Western students, because it is really an uncomfortable truth.
Mm-hmm.
So the way that I phrase it is, in life, you will experience suffering. It is inevitable.
Yeah.
And immediately, so again, from a Buddhist context, it causes an immediate resistance. The number one thing that we are seeking in life as human beings, or as any being actually, is health and comfort. So anything outside of health and comfort is an immediate danger.
Yeah.
And because of that danger alarm system, it's this immediate pushing it away.
Yeah.
But when we push it away, we suffer more.
Yes.
It's not weird.
It is weird. And it's interesting because when you say the word like life is suffering, I think life equates to pain, but the degree to which we suffer has to do with how much pain we're willing to accept. And the concept that I have around suffering. So I remember I was in a dialectical behavioral therapy like meeting a couple of years ago, because I've been through a couple therapists. And I remember the therapist had this. Yeah,
good for you.
Good for me. This therapist was telling me this concept of suffering, and she was like, so the definition of suffering is the avoidance of pain. And I was like, what? And it took me, I was like, I would take what she would say and I'd be like, give me 3 weeks to think about that and I'll get back to you.
Oh, I like that.
And I usually would. I'd like test her theory, and I'd sit there and think about it. And I'd go, oh my God, she's right. The more we resist any type of suffering, any type of pain, the more we are basically putting ourselves in a position to suffer.
Yes.
Which is weird.
Think about it. It is. So when we resist suffering, most of the time, I'm going to use this in a meditation migraine context because I experience migraines all the time, and I have talked about this. There was one point in my life where I was having upwards of like 20 migraine days a month, and these migraines were oftentimes incredibly debilitating. I would be bedridden for days until I finally was like, I am not going to let these fucking things be in charge of me anymore. And so one of the things about suffering in the pain context is that we suffer more because we expect it to get worse.
Yeah.
We are like, no. Oh, fuck, I don't like this.
Yeah.
And so that resistance in and of itself creates a mental obsession in a thought loop. And all you are thinking about and focusing on is your pain. And if you have noticed, the things that you focus on become your reality.
Yeah. Yeah. The times you're talking and I'm like, experiences, many experiences where I was so scared of the pain and it just inevitably, it built it up into this huge thing that I was terrified of. I was so scared. And then when I finally actually faced it, it was like, oh, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's momentary. Like, okay, an example, when you're sparring and you get socked in the solar plexus or a liver shot and your body immediately goes into protection mode because it hits your vagus nerve, that is excruciatingly painful. But you can train that response. You can be like, oh, I'm okay. And then you're okay. It's weird because you just have to remind yourself that actually I'm fine. And you can do this with all types of pain. So in neuroscience, when we experience pain and we make friends with it, and this is also in a mindfulness context, but there is some scientific evidence of this. I'll explain a little bit more in a moment. But basically, when we make friends with our pain, we are training resilience. We become more resilient because we accept that we are going to experience pain. And because we have already experienced a similar pain, we remind ourselves that we're going to be okay and we're going to survive. So like when getting ready for fights or competitions and we participate in ice baths.
Yeah, absolutely.
Ice baths suck.
Yes, they do.
They suck. Those are painful.
Yeah.
And it's not just painful, it is an immediate no, because you can go into hypothermia.
Yeah.
So it's actually, the body's protection mechanism saying, this is dangerous. You can die.
Yeah. Yeah.
Get out now, right?
Yes.
And then you have to fight with this. You have to fight with this biological urge to save your own life.
Yes.
And just say, I'm fine.
And then,
breathing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So in neuroscience, they actually did a study because Buddhist monks will oftentimes, not just Buddhist, but Hindu ascetic monks as well, they will experience pain on purpose in order to not just make friends with it, but when emotions and experiences that we have a natural aversion to are bigger, it gives us a little bit more of an opportunity to see them as they are.
Yeah.
Because they are right in your face.
Yeah.
Right? They're the most immediate thing, and there is nothing outside of that. So I think it was at Stanford, I'll have to double check, but they did a study on pain, and they took Buddhist monks who Mingyur Rinpoche was one of them. He's one of my teacher's teachers. He's one of my teachers, and he is my teacher's son.
Okay.
And he was raised in this world, right? He's been practicing since he was 8. So he went and participated in the study, and they hooked him up to a bunch of little electrodes, and then they put him in an fMRI machine. And an fMRI machine is a functional MRI which is basically a live feed. So it's not just photos. They can see what's happening in the present moment.
Yeah.
So they're monitoring connectivity and different areas of the brain. And they put this little bracelet on him and a couple of other monks, as well as some control subjects, people who didn't have any kind of training.
Yeah.
And they pumped really, really hot water into this. And it was on their wrist, which is a really sensitive area of the body. And there's a lot of nerve endings in here, of course, because of your fingers.
Yeah.
And the interesting thing about this was that the untrained participants experienced pain. It went up gradually as the heat increased, and it went up, and then it just kind of went like this. And it kept kind of increasing, even though the temperature wasn't increasing. So then the monks that they had in this study, they experienced it. So like if the participants were here, the monks experienced it way up here. It shot all the way up, way, way, way more intensely, dropped off, and then went down and leveled off to almost nothing.
Wow.
So they still felt it. There was still a bit of pain, but it was a comfortable experience for them.
Yeah.
So what is happening in their mind is the Buddhist monks, and mind you, these ones have like, I don't know, 80,000 hours of meditation experience. It's a lot. They know that it's painful, and they say, bring it on. And they feel this pain, but they don't call it pain. It doesn't have a name.
Yeah.
It's just experience. They experience this very intense thing, and they feel it as much as they possibly can, and they make peace with it, and they breathe, and then they bring their awareness back to their breath, and pain becomes background noise. So the participants who had no training, they kept thinking it was going to get worse. They were thinking, it's burning through my wrist.
I see.
It is scarring me. I'm bleeding. Or, they had all of these, and this was all recorded. They had all of these experiences that they were worried that they were actually getting burned, but they weren't.
That's wild. That's amazing. So, okay. So I'm listening to you. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm thinking about how this applies across multiple fields, across not just physical pain.
Yes. Emotional
pain, mental discomfort. And there's an aspect of this that plays, it plays a role in my life personally, but I think it probably plays a role in everybody's life to some degree, to whatever degree they're willing to face it or look at it, maybe. And I'm instantly thinking about why I even joined martial arts in the first place. And
why did you?
So I was remembering as you're talking that I started Muay Thai and then Jiu-Jitsu after one of the most painful experiences of my life, which was that I was going through a divorce, and the man who I loved with my whole heart went for somebody else. Now, this is not in any way like meant to be an attack on him at all. Like, no, I have no hatred towards him at all, or no, nothing. But it was excruciating. Like, I thought there were moments when it was so painful. I literally physically felt my heart just like physically rending in two. I couldn't sleep for months. I lost 20 pounds in about 6 weeks of time. I couldn't eat. There were points when I thought I was going to die. And then as I was accepting the pain, it was weird. It was like, wait a second. There was this weird, almost joy to it, because I realized that if I had never loved this person as deeply, I would never be experiencing this amount of pain. And so I accepted it, and it made it, I don't know if it was like a high, but it was like a whoa. It was the most deeply emotional experiences, or several months of my life, where I was just feeling everything intently because the pain was so great. And yet it was like, wait a second, if I had never truly loved this person, it never would have been like this. And what proceeded after that was me proceeding to do things with my life that I never thought I would do. including going to a martial arts gym, including starting Muay Thai and then later jujitsu, including putting myself in situations socially, mentally, emotionally, physically, that I never thought I was going to do. And my experience and exposure to real life started going up from there. But it came from something painful.
Right.
Which I think is profound.
It is. Let me ask you, was the word that comes to mind when you're talking about this, first, pain is emotional pain is a physiological process.
Yeah.
That's why we feel it physically. Right?
Yeah.
When you were talking about DBT, similar to mindfulness, where we actually go into the physical experience of what it is that we are feeling. So sadness usually has a weight, a heaviness.
Yeah.
Grief, sometimes depending on the kind of grief, if it is a very serious loss and there is something or somebody that you are very attached to, there is almost a sensation of ripping. Right?
Yes.
Being torn apart.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because this is pretty universal.
Yeah.
Everybody experiences little nuances differently.
Yeah.
But for the most part, a lot of the different areas we can identify. In fact, there are, I think, like MRI photos of this, of where different emotions are felt in the body because of the physiological process that happens.
Yeah.
So now the word that I was thinking that came to mind when you made peace with it, more or less, is surrender.
Yes. Yes. Yeah, I think the word surrender is very much close to it. I mean, for me, that time was very spiritual. It was very like, it was very spiritual, and I felt very much in tune with surrendering to the experience of going, okay, I need this for some reason. There is some reason why I need to experience this. And okay, for me, it was literally like being like, all right, to my creator, please just I felt so connected. I don't know how to explain it. I surrendered to it, and I felt so incredibly connected to myself and to the world around me in a really new way. And it was awful.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't wish that experience on my worst enemy, but I would never give it up.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Like, you're grateful for it.
Yeah, I am. I am so grateful for that. So grateful.
I was in the car with my daughter the other day. I have just recently experienced a great deal of pain. I have experienced a death in the family. My cousin's son was hit by a car. He was 16 years old, and it was tragic and sudden. And the hardest part of all of this is fresh. This just happened a week ago on Tuesday. So, the car accident was the previous Friday, but he transitioned out of this world on Tuesday of last week. So the worst experience of all of that for me was the agony and the cry from my cousin after they let him go. And I have never and hope to never experience that degree of pain and loss, because obviously that's every mother's worst nightmare. It is the thing that lives in the back of our mind constantly. It is we have to keep this little being alive, right? Like, that's our goal. And we oftentimes can't. Unfortunately, I've had several friends who have lost children, and loss in general changes people, but that degree of loss is profound and really does change people on a fundamental level.
Yeah.
My daughter lost her dad in December of 23. He drank himself to death. So we knew it was coming, and it was of his own doing. So that is a different experience altogether. But the agony in her cry when I told her that he was dead was a similar experience for me. And on top of that, I've experienced a lot of grief. I've experienced a lot of death in my life. And one of the strangest experiences of that particular one, I spent almost 10 years of my life with this man. I made a child with him. And there was an experience of pain in my womb, which
Whoa.
I had not experienced before. It was really strange. But that grief was fucking heavy. That was so big. It was so intense. And there was a moment of surrender where I literally felt like I just have to let this kill me. Like, I have to let this grief just kill me. And it did. It killed that me.
Whoa.
That version of me is no more, because now I live with this.
Yeah.
I live with the grief of that loss. I live with the grief of helping, and my daughter's grief, and helping her work through her grief. And the other day, as we were driving home from the hospital, my daughter said to me something very profound. She's 11 years old. And she said, "Mommy, I'm glad that I have had the experience of my dad dying, because without it, I wouldn't be who I am. It wouldn't be me." And I was like, yeah, you are absolutely right. She said, "I'm not glad he's dead." I said, "No, of course not." She said, "But I'm glad I've had the experience of him dying." And I thought, there are grown-ups who don't get that.
Yeah, she's what, 11?
11.
She's smart.
So there is peace and acceptance.
Yeah.
And we cannot accept until we surrender to the experience of whatever pain it may be.
Yeah. I agree. I agree with that wholeheartedly. There are so many connective things. I don't think I've ever met anybody in my life who has experienced as much exposure to death as you, if I'm being totally honest.
Well, part of it's my own life choices. I hung out with a lot of, my friends did a lot of drugs. My friends committed suicide. I had friends overdose. I had friends, my best friend committed suicide when we were 21, or he was, 20, 21, something like that. It was 21, 2006. And it was exactly a month after my grandmother had died. She was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer 6 weeks before her death. And we were very close. So that year sucked.
Yeah. But it's an understatement.
Honestly, I think to have these experiences so young, my great grandmother, who I lived with until I was 5, and then I was devastated because we had to move so far. We moved across the street, literally the neighborhood street. I could see her house. And excuse me, she was my best friend. I was with her every day, every single day. And I went to a water park, and I called my mom to ask if I could stay later. And she said, "No, you need to come home right now." And I went home, and she had had a stroke. And I don't know how, but I knew she was going to die. She had regained the ability to semi-communicate. She gave me a hug, and I remember the way she hugged me. She patted me on the butt. And that was the last time I saw her. She actually died because she had an oxygen mask, and she vomited and aspirated and died.
Oh.
So it wasn't even the stroke. I was 9. And a couple of years prior, I had lost my grandfather. I had been to something like, I don't know, almost 10 funerals by the time I was 10. It's crazy.
Yeah, that is intense. It weirdly, this is going to sound weird, but it weirdly, I think from what I've seen as an outsider looking in, and or maybe as an observer, it has made you particularly good at being present with people when they are experiencing pain. It is Not to make this like a gushing, I absolutely love Mary Lee, which I absolutely do. I absolutely do. But it's been really remarkable to get to be the friend of somebody who is like, whoa, she's very good at observing and being there for people when they are experiencing pain. And it almost makes you a magnet for it more, because then people are like, they know that they can entrust you with painful things.
Yeah.
And so it makes it more, you end up observing it even more.
Right.
Sometimes.
Yeah. Okay. So I've experienced a lot of pain. Again, most of it of my own doing. I was an alcoholic. That in and of itself is excruciating. And I was able to like crawl my way out of the depths of hell. So I have been able to make friends with emotional suffering quite well. And then on the physical side, my body's riddled with arthritis. I have a connective tissue disorder and nerve pain, migraines. I'm always in pain all the time. So maybe that's part of it.
Yeah.
But one of the things and one of my main practices is compassion. And empathy, for instance, is the recognition of pain in another person or recognition of the experience of another person. But usually it's in terms of pain, suffering, grief, sadness, something that we would have an aversion to. Compassion includes empathy, but it also includes the wish to do something about it.
Yeah.
So I try to practice everything with compassion. And it's interesting in a martial arts context because I want to get in a fight, but I don't want to hurt anybody. Yeah. But I also want to hurt somebody. Yeah. It's a paradox, right?
Yeah.
It's this like, I also want to get in a fight and I don't want to get hurt. That's the goal.
Yes, that is the goal.
Not to get hurt.
Yeah.
And so I also understand that when I sign up for this, I am signing up that I can get hurt.
Yeah.
And the other person is doing the same thing.
Yeah, they are.
It's a weird thing to put yourself in on purpose. Now, I was having a conversation with Ernie about this because he said to me, you don't seem the type to want to fight. You don't seem competitive. And I said, I'm not. And he goes, well, why do you want to fight? And I said, I just want to know what I can do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. I just want to know what I can do because my ex-husband was abusive. And that was scary.
Yeah.
And I want to know that at the very least, I can beat up somebody my size who's trained.
Yeah. Yeah. I can understand that. I compete for the exact same reason. Yeah. Just because I want to know that when I step on the mat, I want to understand, I want to test my mettle. I want to test and see like, where are my brain pathways in how I think and how I'm, rolling with you? How is that going up against how you are thinking and how your brain is going? And my experience is that while I may not always be the smartest jiu-jitsu player, I can be very fierce, and I'm so proud of that.
You have grit.
I feel so proud of it. Although my intelligence-based usage of my skills could be greatly improved.
I mean, that's why we train, right? That's why we do the same drills ad nauseum.
Over and over. Yeah. So I do have a follow-up question for you, because you've talked about this emotional pain and physical pain and the like health things that play into this. How does Muay Thai, because you are a devoted, avid practitioner of Muay Thai, and how does this kind of hone in or bring this all together for you?
Muay Thai has become, in a way, a spiritual practice for me. It's also fun. I think it's a blast.
Yeah.
We goof around. We have, fun and sparring, and obviously a lot of laughter and gotcha.
Yeah. We're very goofy.
But because of my spiritual practice and the practice of accepting that life is suffering, or accepting that I am going to suffer, putting myself in difficult, scary, and often painful situations on purpose helps to work with that, right? And not only does it help with working with that aspect. So when we practice mindfulness or meditation, it's stillness and sitting. There's also moving meditation. But there is an interesting point in training and sparring. Everything moves really fast that you can kind of get into a flow state. And just as of recently, I've entered this flow state in sparring a couple of times. It doesn't happen often, and it definitely did not happen with Ban yesterday. He overwhelmed the shit out of me, and it was the funniest thing, Elizabeth. He was just, he's fast as fuck.
Yes,
he was beating the shit out of me.
Fast as fuck, boy.
Right? He was beating the shit out of me. And he kind of let up for a second, and I had to like reorient and figure out where the fuck I was. And I said, thank you. It just came out. And I was like, that's a funny thing to say.
Yeah.
But I really am grateful because it pressures me and it helps me get better.
Yes.
But again, it is part of that. It's part of the gratitude of the suffering.
Yes. Yes.
Thank you for making me suffer more because I'm learning more.
Yeah. Can I ask, I missed that part of class yesterday. Was it jabs? Was it because he's got some solid jabs.
Yeah, dude, our drill was jab, jab, and then we pause, and then you step in and jab, and then pull, cross, another jab, and then a hook, and then a kick.
I feel like he taught one of his favorite things to do because he's done that to me.
He does it all the time. And he's a southpaw too, so it messes with me.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, obviously you train jiu-jitsu and Muay Thai, and one is very fast.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, jiu-jitsu obviously can be fast also, but you do kind of have a little bit more time to be with the overwhelm.
Yes.
But also do you, the question I think is when in Muay Thai, when you have the overwhelm and then you're overwhelmed a different way, maybe you forget about it. And then in jiu-jitsu, do you have more time to be like, oh, fuck? I don't know. I'm curious.
Here's the thing. Yes. So I have not been as consistent as my practice of Muay Thai, I think, as you have. And so there's a degree of flow that is barely beginning for me, and even if that, I feel like that's, even saying that is probably laughable to some of the people that train us. They're probably like, nah, that's funny.
We're still little baby practitioners.
We're babies. But I will say that for me in jiu-jitsu, especially, the moment in which a person gives up doesn't take long. They can suffer. So what's cool about jiu-jitsu is that you can resist and suffer through it. But there is a point that takes a split second where your brain decides whether or not you're going to suffer through it on the bottom, or whether or not you're going to fight to get back to the top. Or whether or not you're going to continue to use the grit that you have. And I have felt it in people when I've been in competitions.
Like you feel them give up? I
literally feel like there have been multiple girls that I've trained with. Actually, my very first competition, I was like a 2-stripe white belt. And this girl, I think she was from St. George or somewhere in southern Utah. And she had come up for this competition, and she was also a white belt. And I think I had been training for like maybe 7 or 8 months. And I was so excited to I just wanted to see what I could do. And I weighed about 165 pounds, and she weighed at least 190, probably close to the 200 range. And so I was like, whoa, she's heavier than me. This is a big deal. And it was so interesting because that morning I had actually gone, I knew I needed a moment to meditate. And I actually went ice bathed in the river near my apartments. And I just went and sat in the river. It was freezing cold. I think it was in January. Ooh. I sat in the river in the freezing cold, and I just let it flow, and I just felt it. And I felt this cool, raging feeling of freezing cold rage. And I remember stepping onto the mat and going, and I just felt that same like frozen cold, but like raging feeling of like, this will be fine. I'm excited right now. And within about 30 seconds, so at the first off, I was a white belt. I literally pulled this girl on top of me. And then I pulled what's called an X guard. And I was able to get out from underneath her weight, pull her down, get on top of her. And I knocked her out. She fell down onto her back and like woke up and went and tapped on the mat within about a minute and a half or so.
Okay.
And it's like a 4 or 5 minute match. So I felt that I had two, it was best of 3 because women competing, you don't always have a superfluous amount of people. So oftentimes you will have one person in your weight bracket and you will do the best of 3 matches. And if you win 2 out of 3 matches, there will not be a third match.
Okay.
So I beat her in that first round. And then in the second round, I could feel it. I had mentally like snapped her somehow. Like somehow the mental battle in jiu-jitsu is extremely important, and it happens in a fraction of a second. And where that person, you figure out whether or not you have the ability to go, I'm going to fight, or, oh crap, you have me. And it's almost like imperceptible, and you don't even always realize that it's there until the match is over. And I have felt that like since then, I have felt multiple people where I'll be on top, or I will figure out a way to pull them into some type of choke, and they may resist, they may not tap to the end of the match, but I feel the breath go out of their lungs, and I feel them mentally like, we're done.
Yeah, I'm over.
I know I have them. My goal is to never be that. I may get tapped out. I may not win every match, but I will never mentally give in. I don't want to do that. I really want to kind of keep that like feeling of like that surge of like the river that I felt that first match. I want to continue that.
Mm-hmm.
But there is a sense of being able to suffer through a match that is extremely difficult, whether or not you are winning or losing, to go like, because no one wants to just tap out. And there have been matches that I have been winning, but I don't think I can tap this person out. I have to sit here and I've got to figure out how to hold them in this position or hold them in a dominant position for 5 minutes. And it hurts. My body hurts. My arms hurt. I have something where I think I use my arm muscles too much in a lot of gi matches and just in matches in general. And I've been in competitions where I had 5 matches that day and I definitely overused my arms. And by the time that like third match was done, my arms didn't have anything, like any juice left to give, but I could get myself in a dominant position. And then I'd be like, all right, now I have to figure out how to make these work for another 3 minutes.
Like when you have no grip left.
Yeah, I have no grip left. It hurts. And that match would be over. And like Eddie, I remember Eddie at American Nationals last year, Eddie and Ryder and Alex pulled me aside and were like doing this to my arms, trying to get my arms because I was like crying, like it hurts so bad. And I wanted to stop going. I really wanted to stop going at American Nationals last year. I was like, okay, I won my weight bracket in one of the divisions. And I was like, in the very final day, I won my weight division and I thought there's no way I can do the open bracket, which is me against everybody who won their weight divisions. And I walked away and Almasor came up to me. He said, you go get your ass in the open bracket right now. Okay. And I was like, I'm in so much pain. He's like, I don't care. This is American Nationals. You don't get this chance every day. You go do it. And we like went to go find the head of the entire tournament so that he could let me in to the open bracket and put me in. And then I won the open bracket. But man, it was hard. It was extremely painful. So that's a little off topic, but that sense of like...
It is, but it leads me into something really interesting.
Yeah.
So Ryder and I were talking a while ago. He had, I think, read a book and they were talking about the benefit of bringing yourself to tears and pushing through that.
Yeah.
Because from my understanding, it pushes your threshold.
Yeah.
Right? It's kind of like an ice bath. Like the longer that you realize that you can tolerate it, the more your threshold is pushed.
Yeah.
So if you push yourself to tears, then the next time it takes you farther to get to tears. And then, but you have to continue. You can't quit, because if you quit at that point when you cry, then that is
positive
feedback for your physical safety.
Yeah.
For your nervous system, for your neuroconnectivity, all of these things. It's positive feedback saying, if I cry, I can quit, and therefore I will be safe.
Yeah. Ooh, that's a really good point.
So if we actually go until we're way overwhelmed and we don't give up. In fact, I see this a lot in the kids class.
Yeah.
I like it actually, because these kids, some of them, they crumble, and that's okay. They're kids, right?
They're learning.
Yeah, exactly. There are a couple of them, and one of them in particular that I did not expect has become a little beast, and she would not even hit me. She was so sweet when she started. I was like, please punch me in the face. And she goes, I can't.
I remember this little girl. Yeah.
And now she is competing not competing, but she's training wrestling, jiu-jitsu, and Muay Thai.
Yeah.
And the other day she got caught a little bit, and she was crying. And this has happened with her a few times. And I said, are you okay? And you can see that she's, yeah. And I said, okay, are you sure? And there have been a couple of times that she said, no, I'm hurt.
Yeah.
She get, hit in the nose, or maybe a brush in the eye or something like that. And, but this little girl, I asked her, do you want to sit down? I give them the option.
Yeah.
And she says, no. And she continues. And so I said, okay, take a deep breath, touch gloves, back to it. And she goes. And I like it.
I like it too.
I like it. It's really, really neat to see that happen in real time.
It is.
It's different when it's yourself.
It is. And it's actually, because I've come and helped with the kids class. I probably come like once every other week or so to help out with kids class. And I actually really enjoy the opportunity to see these kids do exactly that. Because some of them do want to run away. Some of them do walk away, and some of them do sit on the wall and cry. And then that's sometimes when I go up and I'm like, hey, are you okay? Tell me what's going on. And sometimes they are really upset, and sometimes they feel ashamed of themselves for being upset.
Right.
And that's where I'm like, hey, it is okay. You're going to keep coming back to class. You're going to keep training this. You are going to keep learning. It is totally okay. Even if you did the move wrong and you got punched in the face, it's okay.
Sometimes it's an ego thing, right? Sometimes it's like oh no, I feel stupid, or I'm embarrassed, or and now I'm crying and I'm even more embarrassed, and then I'm crying more because I'm embarrassed, right? You can see this happening.
Yeah. It's very cool. And what's interesting is that I don't think adults are that different. If I'm being totally honest, we're really not. We may hide it a little better. But there have been a number of times when I had started jujitsu, and I know that I think I talked about this a little bit in our first episode, but for a long time, there were times when I would, so I would be doing jujitsu, and somebody who was much stronger than me or bigger than me would get on top, and they would get me in a position where I was like suffocating. And it triggered some memories for me that I did not realize that I needed to remember. I did not even realize that I had, where as a child, men were on top of me and I could not get them off. And it brought back some really scary memories. And I would go sit on the wall and I would be like, okay, what the fuck do I do with this? I need to breathe right now. And it slowly got to a point. First off, I think to the normal, maybe to many people's brains, the fact that I continued to come back to class at that point, after having like memories of being assaulted as a kid and not having any control over my body and not having any control over my situation. But I was like, no, I need this. No, I need this. I will face these parts of me. I will face myself. I will experience some fucked up shit. And I need this. It was painful. There were a number of times when I walked out of class crying. And sometimes it was just because last week, Ernie pulled me so quickly into a choke It was 10 seconds and I was done. And it shocked me so bad that I was like, ugh, and I choked up a little bit. And I went, okay, all right. First off, I'm going to keep training. But there was a time when I would have sat on the wall and needed 20 minutes to myself and needed 20 minutes to not cry because I was so triggered by that moment. But I kept showing up back to class. I kept continuing. And now I don't need to take time off of the wall. I can keep rolling. I'm totally fine. But it took a lot of time.
It does.
And some commitment to something that I think I knew I needed, even if I think it kind of makes me look like a pain junkie. Like,
I'm a masochist. I accept that. It's fine.
Yeah. Like, I think that I would like tell my friends about it and they're like, okay,
weirdo.
Cool. Have fun with that.
Right. Dude, the best is when you're like, come train. It's fun.
Yeah.
And then you talk about these like little things that happen and they're like, no.
Yeah.
I had, when I was younger, me and my friends would get drunk and I have some scars here. We would put our arms together like this and then, so our forearms together, and then we would drop a lit cigarette and whoever pulled away first loses.
Oh my God.
And had to buy a round of drinks. So I have, there's a few of them.
A couple of little scars.
But it was funny. Yeah. And it was fine. Like the worst, I mean, cigarette burns actually hurt worse than regular burns because of all the chemicals and stuff in them.
Yeah.
That's completely off topic. But I had a similar experience when I very first started, and it lasted a fucking long time, dude.
Yeah.
So when I came to Muay Thai, I wanted to learn how to fight just because I always have wanted to learn how to fight. I've been obsessed with martial arts movies, and I think that martial artists are cool, and I love Bruce Lee, and I loved Ong Bak and all the things. But I would come to training, and I was oftentimes the only girl or one of the only women, and I'm training with men, grown men who are bigger than me.
Yeah.
They are stronger than me. They have higher bone density, and they grew up roughhousing. I'm an only child. I didn't really get on with girls very well, so I hung out with boys, and I did do a lot of roughhousing with them. Like we would, back in Guam, we would get drunk and wrestle in my friend's condo.
Yeah.
It was just like silly things, right? Yeah. And I don't know how to wrestle, but I would fuck around with the boys and, play like I knew what I was doing. And we would get out boxing gloves in high school and punch each other in the face just for the fuck of it. And it was fun for me, but I didn't realize the weight or gravity of those things because I had not been in an abusive relationship yet.
Yeah.
So then, after having been in a physically abusive relationship with a man who was 6'2", 6'3", and roughly 220 pounds, that was fucking scary.
Yeah.
It was really scary. He slammed my head against the wall one time, and my teeth hit my teeth and chipped my tooth. And I had, welts and things. My head smacked on the floor, on the tile floor. His favorite thing was strangling me, and I couldn't reach because it was like, a kid with their hand on the head and, swinging your arms.
Yeah.
So coming to martial arts, the drills were fine. Sparring was triggering, so triggering. And there were times that I would be like, I want to go to Muay Thai, but I don't want to go to Muay Thai.
Yes.
I want to walk into that building because I love this sport, but I want to not go in because it's scary.
Yes.
And there were definitely times that I didn't participate, and there were times that I felt unsafe.
Yeah.
And I had to train that resistance.
Yeah.
I had to train the resistance to the pain and discomfort and remind myself that this is a controlled setting.
Yeah.
There are coaches there, and all of the guys I'm training with, we get along great. We laugh most of the time. Yeah. And had it have not been for the, hey, what's up, friend? Hey, buddy.
Yeah.
Had it have not been for like the community aspect and the camaraderie, I don't think I would have stuck with it.
Yeah.
I honestly,
a huge role.
I honestly think that it's in and of itself created an air of safety for me that was just enough.
Yeah.
And there were times that fortunately, I do see some people bring anger and ego and things like that into sparring.
Yeah.
And it gets hairy and dangerous, and I don't like it.
It's weird.
You can tell.
Yeah.
And I tend not to partner with those people.
You can feel it. Yeah.
There was one guy that was like, I really want to punch you in the face. And I was like, that's a fucking weird thing to say.
It is a weird thing to say.
Anyway, I didn't spar with him anymore. Weirdo. And then sometimes there are guys that come in who are new. I don't know if you notice this, but they come in and they're like, I'm not going to let a girl beat me. And they like go ham.
Yeah.
It's funny now because I can handle myself.
Yeah.
Before, that was absolutely terrifying.
Yes. Yeah. In jiu-jitsu, that's how. In Muay Thai, I'm still like, jiu-jitsu, I'm like, yes.
Right.
Come here.
Yeah, I got this.
Yeah.
And so part of this has been incredibly healing for me in terms of that. So like when I talk about I used to be really afraid to move through the world. I had a great deal of anxiety. And when I talk about this, it is because I felt unsafe. And I now feel less unsafe, but it's not because I'm fucking delusional and think I can beat the shit out of any guy that I see.
Yeah.
I know I can't.
Yeah.
I know that. I know that there are unsafe people. I know that there are people bigger than me. And I know that there are people that have really bad intentions.
Yeah.
They still exist.
Yeah.
But I'm not afraid anymore because I have trained that feedback loop.
Yeah.
I have trained that out of me where I'm not just paranoid all the time.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. 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 I totally understand that. I think it's interesting. First off, this whole sense of like, I know that I'm not necessarily going to beat every guy. Right. And I also think that there are guys that look at women who do martial arts and go, I can still beat the shit out of you. Right.
What?
Okay. I have seen this.
They say that. Why do they say that?
Why do you care?
What a weird thing to say.
It is a weird thing to say. And also why?
Ego.
Why? Like,
it's funny.
Yeah. Or like, okay, then come train at my gym, see what happens. Like, I'm not worried about it.
Right.
Also, if you do that at me while I'm at my gym, there is a slew of much better, more talented people who do know how to kick your ass better than I can.
And they care about us.
And they care about us.
Right.
And that's the cool part about that community is that like when somebody gets hurt, it is like, what happened? What happened? Was it irresponsibility? Were you acting? Was it the person who got hurt? Were they being stupid? Was it both?
Usually,
it's usually a little bit of both, and
accidental.
Yeah, I have both been hurt and hurt people on accident, and I hate it when that happens because there's a guilt there. I hate that, but there's a sense of like our coaches are very protective and very like. Protective, especially of I think the girls that train there, because they want us to keep training. They don't want us to walk out of the gym because some guy was kind of being an asshole to us, Right. That said, it took me a long time to get over my fear of like, I feel like I have a lot of really good camaraderie with the guys at the gym and I adore them, but it took me a long time to not be scared of them. And I was often the only girl training, and I was often the only girl showing up, and I was still scared. And I was like, like there were guys that I thought were super cool. Like there are a couple of guys who train there that I'm like, do you know how cool you are? Like they're they're like idols in my eyes. But like, I was so scared of them because I was like, oh, they're too cool. They don't like me. Like, they think I'm weird. They think I'm the weird girl. They're not going to want to talk to me. And it's been funny because the longer I've trained there, the more I'm like, hey, what's up, dude? I love that guy. I love that guy to death, and there's not a nervousness there. But that fear was very much rooted in like my fear of, what's going to happen if I'm rejected, if these guys don't think I'm okay. And also, I mean, yeah, I was, very scared for a very long time. And now I feel much more comfortable, but it's taken a long time. And I had to keep showing up. I had to keep proving to myself that, like you said, in that neural pathway, I had to keep proving to myself that I was okay.
Right.
That I was going to be okay. And you know what? Now I feel like, okay, you don't like me? Okay. cool. I'm here to train.
Yeah.
I'm not here for your approval.
Well, okay. So when we start anything new,
Yeah.
most people, not most, I don't know if there's most, that's a silly word to say, but a lot of people have fear of judgment.
Yeah.
And they're afraid to look stupid.
Yes.
And part of it also is funny because like you'll hear things like these crazy white belts.
Yeah.
Right? So like everybody knows they look stupid and they're doing crazy, stupid things.
Yes.
Same thing in Muay Thai. Like, you're sparring with somebody new and you're like,
what are you doing?
But they're just trying to survive.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's funny because it's like multifaceted. There are different layers of this pain that we put ourselves in on purpose.
Yeah.
So we have to surrender to the experience of looking stupid. We have to also surrender to this experience of fear of judgment because we are going to be judged.
Yes.
We are going to be criticized. And our coaches do not shy away from telling us that we did something stupid, or
they do not. Mm-mm. They do not.
But it's purposeful. There is an intention there. It is for safety.
Yes. Yes.
Don't do that. That's stupid. You're going to get hurt, or you're going to really hurt your partner, and then you won't have a partner.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that there is an aspect of this that our coaches are, this is going to sound dumb, but not all of them are Americans.
Right.
And so they don't come from a culture where they feel like they need to protect your feelings.
No, they don't coddle.
They do not coddle at all. And so they will just tell you straight up, hey, this is what I'm noticing. You're doing this poorly. Cool. And that also coming from a people pleaser mindset where I want to avoid harming others because I want to avoid being hurt or rejected by them. It can be it feels like a tiny little whip in my heart. So I'm like, that hurt.
But dude, how much fucking confidence have you gotten because you have been like, ouch. And then you feel it and you're like, what can I learn from this?
Yeah.
And then you do learn and then you grow. Growth is uncomfortable.
Yeah.
It's always uncomfortable. You can't grow in the comfort zone.
You can't.
That's where everything goes to die.
Yes. Yes.
So
yes.
You have this like little ego, ew, ouch.
Yeah.
And then, okay, I don't do that next time.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then you learn how to not do the thing, or you learn how to do the thing.
Yeah. And
confidence grows. And I wouldn't trade that shit for anything.
I wouldn't either. Yeah. It's interesting because you talked about like being scared to show up for Muay Thai. And I was just remembering there have been times when I've driven to the gym, sat there for about 20 minutes just to get up the willpower to go inside and go to class. There have been times when I have driven to the gym and then immediately drove home because I could not get up the willpower to go to class. But that has gotten less and less and less over time because once again, I'm okay. I'm showing up to train. I love these people, this community. I love this community. I have invested in this. I've invested in myself, really. It's not just in them. I have invested in myself in this way, and it's gotten easier over time, but it does incorporate, like you said, embracing discomfort. We always talk about the words, oh, there's no growth in the comfort zone. Every person has heard that phrase.
Yeah.
And we forget that it applies to many different kinds of pain, right? It's not just about, oh, I got to be uncomfortable financially. I got to be uncomfortable. No, like you need to be uncomfortable physically, mentally, emotionally. You're going to experience discomfort with yourself, with who you are, with the choices you've made, with people that have hurt you. You're going to experience anger. You're going to experience which I think anger is just an indicative emotion to go, hey, this really hurts.
Yeah.
This really hurts.
It is.
Right?
It's a secondary emotion.
Yeah, it's an
alarm
emotion.
System.
Exactly. To go, oh, you're going to experience those things. So instead of trying to avoid it, begin to slowly breathe into it, I guess.
Yeah. Touch it. See what it is. In mindfulness, you cannot be present or mindful if you are not first curious and non-judgmental.
Yes.
If you see this pain study that I was referencing earlier, if you see your pain and you want it to go away, that is you judging it as an excruciating or painful experience.
Yeah.
But if you feel or experience the painful thing as simply an experience, you can actually go into the finer details of what it is. This is hot. There is sharp. There is stabbing. But it doesn't have to be also painful.
Yes.
So the same thing goes for this emotional pain, right? And this is also taught in DBT, where you go into the physical experience and you first experience these different elements of what the thing you are avoiding is. So is there a weight to it? Is it heavy? Is it light? Is it moving? Is it shifting? Is it moving? Is there an energetic quality to it? Does it have a texture? Is it sharp, pokey, stabbing, buzzing? And then finally, is it hot or cold temperature? So you can look for these different elements with curiosity and feeling them in your feelings, which is what we call them, right?
Yeah.
And you feel them without assigning a label to it.
Yeah.
Without saying this is, or even my pain. You don't assign a negative connotation to it, and you don't own it. The moment it becomes mine, there's a possessiveness and a desire to hold on to it.
That's powerful.
So if we think of experience, whether it be emotions or a physical experience, as something that's passing through the consciousness, then we can just watch it like we watch clouds pass through the sky. There is a Buddhist analogy where we talk about if you have a cup or a glass that is filled with dirt and it's agitated, you can't see through it, right?
Yeah.
Our consciousness is clear. It is all-knowing. It is vast. It is endless. And it's like I said, it's clear.
Yeah.
But when things are agitated, you cannot see that there is clear water there. It just looks like mud.
Yeah.
But if you let it settle, then there is still that clarity. And that's kind of what you have to do when there is anything that you're avoiding. You take a moment and you breathe into it and you look at the different qualities and it begins to settle. And then there's no problem anymore.
I love that. I think that as somebody who endeavors to practice mindfulness and endeavors to practice the letting things settle, I think that I love that. I'm going to be using that very soon. I want to talk to you about something that I was thinking about as you were talking and letting things settle. I also want to talk for a second about this, recognizing our own pain in the idea of being a victim and versus not being a victim or a survivor, if you will, or somebody who is, I don't know that I consider myself either a victim or a survivor. I am a person who has been given certain things that have made me almost my own superhero to some degree, which is really cool, right? I don't even consider that a survivor thing. It's like I'm thriving. I'm not surviving on itty bitty crumbs. Like
you're not holding on to them.
Yeah, I'm not holding on to them. But I've been having a lot of conversations lately with actually, and I think this is pretty hopefully not offensive. That I was having a conversation with somebody who was telling me, like, we were talking about dating mindsets, which is really random and not in some ways correlated, but we were talking about dating mindsets, and this person was telling me about how there was this girl who just like basically kept stringing him along and kept stringing him along and kept stringing him along. And I was telling him about, some of my situation. He's like, well, you're just like that girl that did this to me. And you need to do this and this and this and this. And you need to communicate with these guys in this exact way. And I thought, hang on. And I actually called him out and was like, I'm sorry, but who the hell are you to tell me that I'm doing this? You don't even know what I'm talking about right now. What are you saying? And he's like, well, I'm a victim of women like you. And I went, that is a problem that you are calling yourself a victim right now, because you are refusing, in my mind, to take some of your own responsibility over the pain that you experienced.
And yet, so identified with the pain, that they will not let it go.
Yes. But that's really hard to go, okay, this girl hurt me. I also did nothing about it. I also did not stop this. I also chose, and he was like, no, men are biologically, this is what they do. Men are biologically inclined to do this. Wait a second. So you're telling me that all of the times when men have hurt me, it was my job to walk away, but when I have hurt them, it was not their job? Are you telling me that there's an inequality in like that I'm capable of doing something that they're not? I was so boggled by this, and it made me really think about this concept of like seeing yourself as a victim. And I think that part of becoming almost a superhero with pain is going, I was a participant in this.
100%. Take ownership for your part that you had to play in it. I was in an abusive marriage for years because I stayed. I had a part to play in that.
Yeah.
I allowed that man to continue to do that to me because I stayed.
Mm-hmm.
This is complicated because there are some like psychological things that were going on, of course. But being able to say, I stayed. I was, in a way, a willing participant. I taught him that it's okay for him to treat me that way because I was giving him positive feedback by staying and forgiving and saying, it's okay. It's not fucking okay.
Yeah.
I should have left.
Yeah.
So there is something so powerful in being able to say, I am responsible for my own suffering. I have a part to play in this. And when you take ownership of that, you can change it.
Wow.
You can make a different choice.
Yeah.
And you can't until you surrender to the fact that you are a participant in your own fucking suffering.
Yeah. Yes. Now, I want to add a layer to this, and I want to get your thoughts on this, because for me, so I grew up with a family that was sexually abusive.
Right.
And mentally and emotionally abusive. And
that's different.
There is a sense of like, I was an innocent, and I was literally groomed into becoming basically the child sexual partner of certain adults. And which really grosses me out to say, because that's disgusting. But but in a sense, I'm also owning it and going, yes, this actually happened. What do you say how would you say, like, would be a proper way of owning that pain? Because there's a degree in which I was not responsible then, but I am responsible for how I handle it now.
Yes. Okay. So what happened to you is egregious and despicable and absolutely one of the most disturbing things that a human being, I think, can comprehend. To harm a child, especially in that way, right? And now that there's a lot of things going on in the world that are coming to light, that we are seeing how actually frequently this happens.
Yeah.
I'll give an example. I grew up in a house with a lot of addiction and emotional abuse. And I was a victim of my circumstances, which led me to drinking my feelings and numbing and things like that. And I had to take ownership for my own addiction. I realized, and this is a very controversial take on addiction, but this is my personal experience. For me, addiction is a choice. And once I admitted that to myself, I could make another choice. I was a willing participant in my own suffering. I was wallowing in my shit for years. And when I said, no more, I am not going to be a victim of my circumstances. I am going to learn from my circumstances. I am going to grow because of them. I have been able to actually be incredibly grateful, even for sexual abuse, for physical abuse, for grief and death, and all of the painful experiences that I have experienced in life, because I have made peace with the fact that they have happened. Those things did happen to me. Some of them were my fault. Some of them were not my fault. There's a saying that like life is 10% things that happen to you and 90% of how you handle it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
If we sit there and just feel sorry for ourselves and woe is me and I'm such a victim, then you're choosing to suffer.
Yeah.
It's a choice.
Yeah.
And if you can see those things as that sucked at the time, how can I learn from that?
Yeah.
How can I grow? How can I change my circumstances so that that never happens again?
Yeah.
Or so that that doesn't happen to another child, or so that that doesn't happen to a friend, or you can start to recognize the patterns leading up to it.
Yeah.
And you can be of help and service to others. So one of the ways that helped me heal from being raped by my coworker, my social worker, she said, I think you should go and be a victim's advocate. And I was like, okay. And so I went through this training, and through this training, we had to role play conversations.
Yeah.
And in this, it was a lot of validating experience.
Yeah.
And realizing that there's help. So you have to learn how to help yourself. And when you do that, it is powerful. It is so powerful. And then you grow confident. And then you can recognize the patterns leading up to it, to not put yourself or not put yourself, or recognize when it's happening and get out. Right?
Yeah.
You take ownership of your own suffering, of your own life, and change your circumstances when you see a problem.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see that. It's interesting because when I think about my past or my experiences, I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm like, I hear people even say, oh, I'm so sorry that happened to you. I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I'm weirdly like, that's a weird thing to say. I know that it's a very normal thing to say.
I hate it.
Everybody says that. I'm so sorry that happened
I'm not.
to you. I'm like, I'm not. And also, I
actually say to them, please don't say that.
Yeah.
And I sometimes even lead with that if I'm going to talk about that thing, because it's just matter of factness. These are just things that have happened to me.
Now,
they're not things happening to me now.
There are things that when I'm seeing something really painful happen at the moment, I say, I am so sorry. This sucks.
Yeah.
I don't think that's the same as being like, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry they did this to you. You can't apologize for them. They're never going to apologize for themselves. And you know what? I have this weird sense of, I would rather have had this happen to me, because I can sense the fierce warrior that I have become. And I can sense the fierce, like, you will never touch a child again. You will not touch me. Any child that is in my presence will not.
Nope.
Like, I can feel that in myself. That is just so, like, I visualize that. I see like Joan of Arc in like full armor, where I'm like, you will not fucking touch these children. I'm so vehement about that.
Mm-hmm.
And I love that about myself. I can feel her.
Yeah, it's powerful.
It's very powerful.
It's powerful because it's like a phoenix rising from the ashes.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have experienced this horrible thing that nearly broke you.
Yeah.
And then you crawl out of that hell and you choose to live.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Super cool.
It's very cool.
Yay. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got for today. Do you have anything else to add?
My brain is blank. My brain is blank of the things.
Good.
So.
I think that was fun. And obviously we ended on a little bit of a heavy note for some people. This is not heavy for us. She and I, Elizabeth and I, we talk about these things. Again, like I said, it's a matter of fact. These are things that have happened. And I am grateful that they happened to me, because now we are here. If you are listening to this podcast and you are recognizing any of these things within yourself, please reach out.
Yeah.
We will connect you to resources. We are here to support. And I don't want people to be victims of their circumstance.
Yeah. I think one of the things that I love and I feel so resounding through everything that we do, and part of the reason I think we're able to come together and make this podcast in such a beautiful and much way, because there's such love here. There is such, this is a love of a practice, and a love of healing, and a love of ourselves, and a love for just and we are in a world that is especially online, it's full of fucking trolls. It's full of people who are like, oh, you're doing martial art, that's weird. Or oh, tough girls. Okay, well, have you experienced anything shitty in your life and then decided that you were powerless over it? And then just decided to sit in your own dirt? Fine, go do that. You do that. I refuse.
Have fun. I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing that. I have power over who I become. And there's such incredible love in that. And I think that my hope is that, in this sense of the Suffer Well Syndicate that we've created, my sense and hope is that people can feel that, and that they begin to, I really think that when we, show a little bit of this mirror that we're in on ourselves and share a little bit of it with that vulnerability, that people also start to see, my hope is that if anybody is hearing this and going, that's interesting, that triggered something for me, or oh, that's interesting, I've never seen it in that way. I know, just start a conversation. This is, there's so many people that have talents and skills and things that they're experiencing. Please feel free to share. This is a safe space, honestly. You won't
not safe.
Maybe not safe.
It's brave.
It's brave. Yeah.
I can't promise that you won't be triggered.
That's true. That's a good point. Yeah.
But I am trained to help you with that.
Yeah. And also I like that. I like those words. It's a brave space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Show up and be brave.
Yeah.
And thank you for listening. Thank you for being part of this journey. Again, we're still new and learning. And if you have any feedback, please share.
Yes. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.